Hey everyone, welcome back to part 2 of this series where I'm taking you on location throughout the whole process of making an independent documentary. In the last video, we went into all the steps that go into pre-production and planning a shoot, and today I'm super excited to get into the fun stuff, by which I mean the shoot itself. Because as important as pre-production is, the shooting is what it's really all about for me. We're going to be in San Diego, California, shooting a really powerful story about Jose, who is a former soldier and triple amputee who found healing through surfing. Originally, we were planning on covering all the production in one video, but once we wrapped and I looked through the footage, I realized there was just way too much good stuff in here, so we decided to split into 2 videos so we don't have to cut out as much. I'm going to show you everything I'm doing as I'm doing it and give you some insights into some of the techniques and setups I use for shooting high quality docs with a small team. If you missed the first video on pre-production, you might want to check that out first, but just to go over some of the ground rules of this whole project, this film was funded by the Art of Documentary. Last year I said I thought AOD was the best online film school out there for documentary filmmakers, and then a couple of months ago I met Mark and Michael, who run the course, and they challenged me to put their methods to the test during a real world shoot to see if I still think it's the best option out there. And that's exactly what I'm going to do in this series. This isn't about selling the course to you because I'm not getting paid for this. In fact, I'll probably lose money in the end, and when I took the course I signed up with my own cash. There is a link in the description if you want to sign up for the next cohort launching March 13th and save a bit of money, but I'm under no obligation to say anything, and my opinions are 100% my own. This is a real documentary shoot with an amazing character and story, and all I'm going to do is compare my own style with what AOD teaches and see if I still think it's the best choice out there in 2023. We also brought along Richard to shoot dedicated BTS on this one. Actually, he's a member of the AOD community, so there's one real world example of how the course can connect filmmakers before we even get started. And Rich shot a ton of great stuff on this one, so I hope you enjoy this series as much as we enjoyed making it. All right, so we just got here to Victorville, California. It's been a super long day. It's been a great drive. It's great to see Eros, but we have a lot still to do. We've got to build the camera rig. We've got to test out the gear, make sure everything's working. We have to go over the surf reports, go over the schedule and the interview questions. So we're just gonna get into it because I need to go to sleep. All right, so we are here in this beautiful hotel room. Before we get into some of the pre-planning, this is Eros Hoagland, the co-director of this film. Eros and I met through mutual friends. Eros is like a big-time photojournalist. If you've ever seen the Michael Mann documentary Witness, Eros was in 2 of the episodes, and he did the stills for the battle scene in The Revenant. He's just like an amazing photographer, and he was the one who actually suggested this story. So I pretty much owe the whole thing to Eros. So how did you find this story?
Well, I met Jose about 5 or 6 years ago. I was a volunteer surf instructor at a surf clinic meant for veterans dealing with emotional and physical traumas. And Jose was one of the graduates, and I saw this guy surfing. He's got basically one arm, you know, he's a triple amputee, and I saw this guy surfing, you know, being pushed into waves, and it was just this amazing character. And we became friends and started talking about a still photo documentary project that I wanted to do with him. And I began it, and this was just before a pandemic hit. And then that happened, so everything got stuck on a long, dark shelf.
And then we rehashed this idea sitting in Baja California in Mexico.
Yeah.
You suggested it, and I thought this is an amazing documentary story. And I mentioned it to Mark and Michael at AOD, and they put up the funding for the hard cost of travel, and now here we are. So tomorrow we're gonna go meet Jose. But this is a surfing documentary, so we need to just get on to the surf report and see if there's any chance of getting actual surfing. So
I don't have high hopes.
yeah, I feel like this is one of these things that we were locked in by days, and it's one of the limitations of doing things super indie. If you've got a ton of time and money, or if you do local things, this is why I'm always talking about trying to do projects that are local to you so you don't have to get on a plane. If there's no surf, then we're gonna have to shift to option B. It doesn't look good, does it?
No, our window does not look good. It's saying it's projecting 1 to 2 foot on Thursday, 2 to 3 feet on Friday. That's all right. I mean, you never know with the surf report, but at the very least, I have a feeling we're gonna get in the water no matter what. Sometimes you just have to go to see what the ocean gives you.
Sage advice for maybe what we're doing as well. This probably mirrors the sentiment of the documentary shooting. Being totally honest, this is not the ideal surf report for a documentary about surfing, but we're here, we're doing it, and we're gonna see what the ocean provides tomorrow, right?
That's right.
Well, tomorrow morning, we are going to have breakfast with Jose. We're gonna get up really early and we're gonna shoot B-roll of the town, but we don't wanna just like crash through Jose's front door with cameras blazing. So we're gonna give them a bit of a chill morning. We're gonna do our thing shooting B-roll around the area. And then we're gonna go have a nice breakfast, still no filming. We're just gonna introduce ourselves and talk. So probably over breakfast, we can sort of pick his brain on whether or not it's worth shifting it a day, or we're just gonna have to wait and see, right?
We're gonna have to wait and see. Any really strong surfing to be done, to be filmed. So that looks good for Thursday.
So Thursday would be better for cleaner stuff for the reflective. Well, it's all on you. So Eros is going to be doing the all the water stuff.
I'm gonna get some mood images out in the water.
Our moody ocean stuff. All right, so we've got our plan set for tomorrow, and even if it's not exactly what we wanted to hear, we're just going to go with it. Next, we need to set up all the cameras and test all the gear, and then try and get a good night's sleep because it's going to be an early start tomorrow. Okay, so that's the camera pretty much built. I do pretty minimal rigging, mostly because I want the camera to be as light as humanly possible. So the only thing I put on it that you might not have seen are one of these shape arms. I think there's lots of companies who make support arms, but the one button way that these things work, from what I've seen, they're the fastest and simplest way to adjust these arms. A lot of people ask me about this monitor arm. For some reason, I get this in the comments all the time. This is a wooden camera universal monitor arm. It's just a 15 mil rail that goes through the handle and extends a NATO rail out this way. And then I stick the monitor on the side. So that's what that is. You can stop asking me. And then the last thing is a timecode box. This is a Technical Sync E, and I've talked about timecode. Basically, this means that every camera that we run is going to be synced with our audio, all of them on the same internal clocks. Other than that, I don't use anything fancy on this rig. I don't put a shoulder plate. I just put the tripod base plate on the bottom and then straight onto my shoulder. People often also ask me, is it uncomfortable? And like, yeah, kinda, but it saves 3 or 4 pounds on all of the big pieces of metal. And for me, that's totally worth it. And this whole thing, you know, it's a pretty big cinema camera, but it's really not that heavy. So for me, this works. In terms of creative decisions that we're making on this, we are gonna try and shoot as much as possible on primes. I'm gonna use just these simple Sigma art primes. I have the Fuji cinema zooms as well, but because we have a lot of time, there's no pressure, there's no like crazy events that I'm gonna miss. And it's a little more creatively challenging. And I think the final look is a bit more organic. Sometimes when you're being paid, you don't have the luxury, because if you miss a moment, someone's really mad at you. So for paid jobs, I use a lot of zooms. And the other thing we're doing a little differently creatively on this is we're shooting at a 235 cinematic aspect ratio. We're doing it for a very conscious reason, which is that Jose, our main character, doesn't have any legs. So his world is on a different vertical level than most people. As a visual representation of what it's like to be him, I think it works well for his world. Okay, so that's it for building the rig. We're almost there. So I'm gonna finish up a few final things and then go to bed and get started early tomorrow. Well, let's see how he feels about that, because I think that whole process of putting on those prosthetics, like to show what a process it is just to do simple things would be...
Yeah, we'll tell them what we want to do and be like, hey, what do you guys think?
Why don't we meet here at 6:30, load up and go?
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. It's late, takes a while to think about things. That's just how it goes. Good night, everybody. Oh, YouTube, hello. How nice of you to join me at the Best Western in Victorville, California. It is around 6 a.m., maybe just before, and we want to take advantage of the nice light this morning, but we also want to give Jose the morning off so that we don't just jump into his house on day one really early in the morning, guns blazing. So we just got to load all this stuff up into the car, get some coffee, and then we're off to shoot B-roll. All right. Oh boy. Oh no. All right, Doctor, I'm down.
Feeling the change, all in myself, my day. Turning the page, I'm trying to pace my days. I'm starting to face my face. But I love my pace, I love my pace, I love my pace.
Flow-techs have always been able to go down really low as it is, but now that there's no ball joint underneath, yeah, we can get right onto the ground. Nice, that's awesome. I know I said last night that we're going to shoot this whole thing on primes, and we are for all of the actual action moments, but sometimes with B-roll, especially in landscapes, I personally like that compression look that you can only get with zoom lenses, so 24 mil on everything is kind of limiting. Okay, so we just finished up B-roll for the morning, and Jose messaged us to say he was good to go. So we're driving over to his place now. We're gonna take it slow and just sit down and have a conversation with him. One of the things I think they stress really well in AOD, I believe it's module 2, is that the people you're making documentaries about become collaborators. So Jose's not some object where we're just gonna knock on his front door with the camera in his face, like, I don't know, an episode of Cops or something. We're gonna go in there, have a conversation with them, and, you know, get to know everybody before we start filming. So on our way now, and about to start the shoot properly. I would love to see you guys just go do something in town. It can be like the most mundane thing ever. The plant nursery?
Bro, we love fucking shooting. Like,
Perfect.
We love to plant it. Like, we're trying to make this grow. Like,
He was like, what do you want?
I gotta put my legs on for that, so
Yeah.
you guys can get a glimpse of that.
Yeah. I think that's kind of a cool process to see as well.
I was like, you better not say do groceries, man.
Your eyes were like, there was like fear, and then
I
like
know.
the nursery, and then you lit up. You're like, I know what it is. We're going to get ice cream.
Our favorite place, and then she said a nursery. So I told them we were gonna be there Friday, Saturday.
At the gym.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I had to let them know and stuff like that. They're like, we just want to make sure that you're good.
That's fine.
Solid. So if that's okay with you guys.
That's the one thing that we need to kind of establish in this is what are your, like you've got the goal of inspiring people, but also what are your, concrete like surfing goals? You want to, that's a great one. Like you want to ride a barrel.
Like, the reason why I ride the way I ride, like I have this switch foot that everybody goes, dude, you do like a check turn that everybody thinks you're going to go one way and then you swing your board. I love John Florence. He surfs at Pipeline all the time. Like I've watched him do airs, all kinds of stuff. Hopefully one day I can do an air, show off that it's possible no matter what.
Yeah.
But that's really the reason why, is because I've watched Jamie O'Brien and John Florence. Jamie O'Brien doesn't compete only on Pipeline, but he does a lot of videos showing how to get barreled and stuff like that. And I've started putting my nub in it so I can slow down. Like I'm trying to figure it out, because one day I want to go out there and I want to be able to start paddling for the wave, and everybody say, don't go, Jose's going.
Yeah, right.
I just want to have that kind of, I have respect for the ocean and respect for everybody, and I don't want to think that I can just go out there and do it.
So is that it in a sentence? Is like to ride a barrel on your own in Hawaii? That's awesome. I love that.
That would be the dream.
Specifically at Pipeline?
At Pipeline.
At Pipeline.
Yeah, at
Right.
Pipeline.
I'll write that down.
At Pipeline.
So we had a really great conversation with Jose and his wife, and we talked about the schedule and we made a plan. Now we're actually ready to start filming. The very first thing we have to do is deal with audio, because we're always talking about how audio is the backbone of the whole story. If you have bad audio, it's not going to work. We're using external recording lav mics. We're not using wireless lavs because we have a technical issue. And because we're using two cameras, we also need to make sure they're on the same time code. So we're going to sync all of our audio and cameras together using timecode right now. These things are master clocks, and then we're gonna sync all of our mics individually to this, and then put a second one of these on the B cam as well, so that everything is operating on the same exact time, so that when we go to edit everything together in post, it's gonna be a lot easier than trying to manually match everything by waveforms. It's just gonna all sync together automatically. Yeah, and then both those lights start blinking at the same time. We put this one on the B cam, and then the final step is to take one of the mics. So instead of a lav mic, these mics have an internal SD card, and it's gonna record everything internally, whether we're speeding on the camera or not. And that can be super helpful for a bunch of reasons. Like, you don't have to be recording on the camera. So if you start, if someone starts saying something interesting and then you start rolling on the camera, with a normal wireless lav, you're gonna miss that because you weren't recording. But with these, you have the audio. So then we sync this to this. So for a moment like this is really cool. We just want to show a little bit of Jose and Lisette's personal life. And, we just asked them where they wanted to go, and they wanted to come to a nursery to go shopping for treats. And along the way, Jose told us this amazing story about how he started gardening because after he got hurt, he wanted to also care and help other things grow and recover. It's just an amazing metaphor for his whole life experience and the person that he's become. So I guess it's just, you never know what's going to happen. Like when someone suggests, let's go film in a tree nursery, you don't expect any dramatic scenes to happen, but if you just let life play out, it's pretty amazing sometimes what can come. One thing I will say about these Anton Power batteries is that they actually have the exact number of minutes left in the charge in a display in the side, which is a first for me in batteries that I've owned, which is like not something I ever thought I needed to know, but pretty great. Yeah, so the archery gives him focus. It's a new activity. I mean, it's physically impressive, so that we're definitely gonna shoot it. Do we need to shoot it in a way that motivates? Is it just to show how he refuses to not do things that he's not supposed to be able to do? Or is it because of the meditative aspects? What do we need to draw out of this? Do you think we should we ask some questions while he's doing it, or should we pull all of this stuff out later in the master interview? I think it would be cool to get a static shot, like super wide, you see the bales, and then he comes in. I think this is the better background. If we shoot it here, it'll be a mess.
What's that?
We just can't shoot it here.
Because of the shadow.
He'll be in shadow, but the whole background will be blown out. So I think we need him to be in the sun. Hi, dog. Hello. Hello. All right, so it's been a fairly long day with Jose already. We have one more scene to shoot, which is him doing archery. He's a bow hunter. It just seems, it's mind-boggling that someone could still shoot a bow at a high level when they only have one arm, but he's doing it. So it's an incredible scene. Problem is we're losing light, and the areas where we're trying to shoot some are in shadow and some are in bright lights. We're trying to figure out how to get that all together. And we also need to do it really quickly because the sun's about to go down and then we're done. So really early morning tomorrow. This is the last scene of the day. So let's just try and get it finished and then get out of here.
That's 16. Back it up until the...
Okay, so that was a great first day with Jose. Lovely guy. I have just gotten to know him, so I'm only scratching the surface here, but he's just really inspiring to be around all day. I really liked him. You might also notice that my desk is not super clean. We were gonna clean it up before. Everyone told me to clean it up, but I feel like on YouTube a lot of the time we have these nice, including me, have these really nice clean desk setups, which is not at all reflective of how I live when I'm on the road actually making stuff. So I thought I'd just leave all this garbage here and you can see what a dirty animal I actually am. So that when you're watching the nice desk videos, you appreciate the effort I go to even more. Anyways, we're gonna try and get through the backup workflow really quickly because we're only gonna be able to sleep for about 4 or 5 hours tonight. We gotta be up at 2:45 tomorrow to go surfing with Jose. The short version is, I've made videos about this stuff before, and if you want more detailed breakdowns of this, let me know in the comments and I can definitely do that later. Not tonight, I'm sorry. The short version is you take all the media, you take an area and you mark it cards to go in. You make another very clearly defined area, cards to go out. It could be like a Tupperware container or a square of tape, just an area where the in goes and the out goes. Everything you shot from all sources goes into the in. You make a consistent file structure, separate the files by date, camera, and card, and then go one by one, everything across until you're done. Then back it up twice, and that's it. That's the end of the day. And that's not, optional. So if you're out actually shooting stuff, you have to do it every night like a discipline. It's not something you can leave till the morning. So even though we're only gonna be able to sleep for a couple of hours tonight, this is not something that we'll put off and do later. This gets done tonight and then double backed up, because if you only have one, you essentially have no backups. So great first day, really excited for tomorrow, and yeah, good night. Okay, Thinking face. Hold the yeah. Keep that. That's the joke. Yeah. Shoot the cutaways of the nasty garbage. Yeah. No joke. Focus on that. Accentuate it. Jesus Christ. Oh, I'm so tired. Hope you liked that one because I personally think Richard did a great job on that BTS. He shot so much good stuff that, like I said, we're stretching this video into 2 parts so that we don't have to cut out as much. So stay tuned for that one next week, where I'm also going to give some of my final thoughts on whether or not I think AOD is still the best online option out there. Thanks for joining, and I'll see you all soon. See ya.